teams like Frankfurt, and they'll hurt you. I just think if Tottenham defend well, they could beat anybody, and I think it showed tonight.
And the motivation for these Spurs players to go on and win this, Les, they don't want to be part of the worst season for a generation. They could go on to become heroes if they win a European Cup.
We heard Van der Ven speaking in his interview earlier on, saying that, you know, they want something special. They want to be the team that brings a cup to Spurs. And, you know, you look at the quality of that squad, and there's some very good players in that squad. They've just not all gelled. Like we said, we spoke about the injuries they've had this season, but as well, there's been some poor performances in the team as well. So it was great for them today. It all clicked, and we know when it clicks, this is a very good Spurs side, and they're very, very difficult to beat. And, you know, we'll probably talk about this later on, but they had some good opportunities from corners as well to get a second goal. So it wasn't just the fact that they came out and defended in the second half. They still had opportunities which they weren't able to take. But, you know, it was a really good performance today.
It was certainly a good performance from Dominik Solanke as well. He got the goal that proved to be the winner for Spurs, but he put in such a shift out there as well. And we can hear from him with Jeff Frazier.
Dom, congratulations. Was that the result of the performance deserved?
Yeah, I think so. Over the two legs, I think at home it was great. Probably should have won the game at home, but we knew it was going to be a difficult game today. They're obviously a top side, tough stadium to come to as well, but yeah, obviously we got the job done.
I think we've got to talk about the penalty, but first of all, the incident that made the penalty. Was there ever any doubt that it was a penalty, and also Maddison's bravery?
Yeah, I think it was always going to be a penalty. I don't know why it took so long, but yeah, Maddis was a great run from him, great bravery to get there before the keeper as well. And yeah, unfortunately, he had to come off, but we managed to get a goal from it.
Is there a sense of deserving from you, the amount of work rate you put into the team? I'm sure that's the first thing that the manager will say, but do you feel like you deserved that goal?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a few games without one now, so yeah, to get one in a game like this, yeah, it was worth the wait.
Step closer to silverware now. You're obviously into the semi-final. How far can this team go?
Yeah, I think it's been something we've been looking forward to the whole season, really. Being back in Europe, from the start of the season, we wanted to win the thing, and obviously we're a step closer now, so yeah, hopefully we can do it.
The manager's taken some criticism recently, but that kind of performance, very much an Ange performance. Is that the best way to respond to the critics?
Yeah, of course. I think obviously we haven't had the best of seasons in the Premier League this year, but ultimately we want to win trophies, and we got a good chance of doing that this year with this cup. So, like I said, hopefully we can go on to win it. How
big a difference does it make to have Romero and Van der Ven at the back?
Yeah, obviously two great world-class centre-backs, and yeah, when you have players like that at the back, obviously helps us. We miss them a lot of the season, so to have them back at a critical point like this is yeah, key.
Buda and Lazio has gone to extra time. How much are you looking forward to the semi-final?
Yeah, obviously playing in semi-finals is what we dream of, really. We want to play in big games. So yeah, we'll definitely be looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Dom. Cheers. Thank you.
Spot on the performance from Spurs tonight, Les. Did you feel the way they approached it and the way they delivered?
Yeah, we was a little bit concerned that they wouldn't be able to put in that sort of like defensive performance and they'd go gung-ho again, but they didn't. They rode their luck at times, but I thought they were good from the start, and they didn't press as I thought they were going to press. Allowed them to come onto them, caught them on the counter-attack a few times, and I thought first half got the penalty. And from then on, they looked quite comfortable. And as I said, could have probably had one or two more goals. But did the job and did what they had to do. Didn't have to be pretty. Didn't have to go out there, go gung-ho and sort of like go all out attack. They just bided their time, and I thought it was a good team performance tonight.
How significant has it been that they've been able to play that back five, including Vicario, for both legs, Owen? Because it hasn't happened often enough this season.
No, I mean, and that's probably been the only bright spot, is the fact that because of all the injuries that they've had, you know, Bergwijn and Archie have been able to play so much and play so well. But actually having those guys back there have been brilliant, that back five. You know, they make a huge difference. And again, I don't think you can win without having defence wins championships, that's a fact. And they got the best defence back in there, and I think it showed today. So credit to the players, they hung in there when it was hard, and that's how football is. You got to have it when you need it, you got to hang in when it's hard, and they did that today. They can be really proud, because I think when you've had a season when it's so hard, it can be hard to kind of see the positive. Today it was just pure positives. Keep clean sheets. The boys at the top of the pitch, Les knows he's scored 1 million goals. They'll win you the game.
And the way they handled such a fiery atmosphere as well, they can be so proud of that. We can get some more reaction from the stadium out in Frankfurt because Glenn Hoddle is still there and he's alongside Sam Matterface.
Yeah, and I think he's buzzing as much as Ange Postecoglou is buzzing at this moment in time, aren't you, Glenn? I mean, it was a terrific performance, and Lindsay's absolutely right. The atmosphere in here throughout the course of the entire evening was absolutely ear-splitting. What can it do for this team, the fact that they've managed to come and produce a performance like that in these circumstances?
Well, it's going to give them a bunch of confidence, you know, it really is. Keeps the season going, which is so important. But tonight they deserved everything they got. I thought they were excellent with the way they started the game, and then they quelled the game in the middle part of the game. They just took control of the ball, created a few chances, defended well. And that was the thing, the way they defended. And if they defend like that, this team can go somewhere. It's about the defence with Tottenham. First clean sheet for so many games. At the end of the day, they've got the players on the pitch actually that can create it at the last third and the attacking third. If they defend like that and they defend as a team together and they're tightly knit and there was no gaps there, the channels where the fullbacks are, they weren't on tonight. They were plugged. Those holes were plugged. Normally it's easy to get in down the sides of the centre-backs at Tottenham. They weren't there for Frankfurt tonight, and they were excellent with the ball and without the ball tonight, and it just shows you what sort of performance they can put in under immense pressure.
Yeah, it shows the value of having all of those four main line defenders available tonight, and it's not very often that Ange Postecoglou has been able to do that. It's only the second time since the beginning of December that he's had those four of Porro, Van der Ven, Romero and Udogie able to play from the start of a game. And it's a team that is designed around that back four, isn't it, with those inverted fullbacks and those speedy defenders. So the value of them together can't be underestimated.
No, without a doubt, and they look solid. And you've got to add Spence to that. Spencer's come in and he can play either side, right back or left back. So that's a real plus as well to put somebody on like that or start from the game. Start a game with that back four with Spence involved. That's still, you're not going to go down in your defensive duties. But at the end of the day, Tottenham tonight, we didn't see them passing in the 6-yard box. Most goal kicks were played long, and they still got enough possession. Just enough possession in that second half to actually still hurt them, still make sure that they played in Frankfurt's half as well, so that you can get possession different ways. And I think they learnt that tonight, and you haven't got to play in front of your own 6-yard box all the time. They hardly done it tonight, yet they've won the game, and they've controlled major parts of that game, and they dug in deep when they needed to dig in. They defended stoutly at the end, didn't they?
Yeah, well, there was a degree of maturity about the performance from Tottenham Hotspur tonight, which has been missing at times over the course of the season. And those long-suffering Spurs fans that have travelled so often to European destinations far and wide and gone home disappointed, absolutely thrilled by the result this season.
Thank you very much to Sam and Glenn. We just lost the sound there from the Frankfurt Stadium, but the guys really enjoyed soaking up that atmosphere this evening, I am sure. And that was one of the most impressive things tonight, Les, the way they handled that, because it was certainly fiery and intimidating at times.
Yeah, we spoke about it was one of the most intimidating places you can go to, and you know, they haven't lost in Europe all season at home, so it was always going to be a tough game for Spurs. You know, one of the things that me and Owen did look at was, and which helped Spurs, was you looked at the bench as well, and you just felt really confident that this was a group of players. No matter what happened, you could make changes that could change the way Tottenham were playing, and they could have a go. We see Maddison go off, Kulusevski come on, and you know what a great substitute for, you know, losing someone like Maddison. They all played their part today, and I think, you know, as a team, as a group, they'll be very proud of what they did tonight.
And he hasn't had the luxury of doing that too often this season, has he? But Ange Postecoglou's promise of always delivering silverware in his second season is still on track as Spurs reach the semi-finals. Let's hear from the Spurs boss now. He's with Jeff.
Ange, was that almost the perfect away performance?
It was good. Look, you know what you're up against, away leg in a quarter-final of a European competition, top side that you're playing against, and we had to work hard, we had to defend, we had to be well organised, we had to have our clean moments going the other way, which we did, and yeah, couldn't be prouder of the lads. You know, we earned the right to be in the semi-final. I think over the two legs we deserved to go through, and super proud of the players.
I have to mention Dom Solanke, obviously a composed penalty, but that wasn't his only contribution tonight, was it?
No, he was awesome, and you know, I know people sort of look at his goal contributions, but what he does for this team is unbelievable. And the whole team today, I thought, just worked awfully hard, and you know that's what you have to do away from home in Europe, especially in the knockout rounds. You know, if you can keep clean sheets, you know, be disciplined, and like I said, we were always a threat going the other way. You know, credit to all the lads.
You asked for bravery before the game. A lot of players could have pulled out of a challenge like that. James Maddison obviously earned the pen that wins you the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Courage personified, and you know, Matters. You know, he's been working so hard for this team, and you know, tonight he was he copped a whack, which you know, he's a bit sore with, but I'm sure he would take that, knowing that we've gone through.
Having Van der Ven and Romero at the... Were you watching the celebrations? Yeah. So having Van der Ven and Romero at the back, it shows you what's possible with them two fit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, it's easy to sort of be disregarding of the issues we've had this year with injuries, but, you know, they're a big part of what we do, and having them two and Vic and the whole back four was magnificent today. They had to be Ekitike's top striker, and I thought they did it awfully well in holding him because, you know, you only need to let him go for a minute, you know.
Lots to be pleased about tonight. What were you most proud of?
Just the togetherness of the lads. Fair to say there's been a fair bit of noise around the team, but you wouldn't know it in camp. They've just been so focused on us, you know, achieving what we want to, and, you know, super proud of them.
Fans deserve a performance like that?
Absolutely. Travelling fans were brilliant tonight. Hopefully they enjoy it, and they deserve it. You know, our fans have been through a tough time also this year, and you know, we understand their disappointment, but hopefully this just gives them something to look forward to.
You've been under a bit of scrutiny. Was it great to win a game playing your way, and will that shut a few up, do you think?
Oh, I doubt it. I said yesterday, I'm the same coach today that I was yesterday, and my pleasure comes from just seeing this group of players rewarded, because they're the ones, you know, they've never lost belief. The staff and the players haven't, whatever the noise has been outside, and just super proud of them.
Is this a good time to remind people you always win something in your second year?
No, look, I'll leave that, you know, people like to mock and they like to ridicule and diminish my achievements. That's fine. I'll just keep doing what I do.
So, Buda Glimt or Lazio, obviously next, we don't know who in the semi-final. Right, might be them. Special season still on the cards?
Absolutely. You're in the final four. You know, it's a semi-final of a European competition. Even for this club with its famous history, you're not often there, so we want to make sure we put our best foot forward.
Great stuff, Ange. Thank you.
Thanks,
Well, Ange Postecoglou, I think a bit hoarse there after the celebrations. He said that people like to mock and ridicule his achievements. Les, do you think he does get unfair criticism?
I think, Lynn, some of the things that he says and some of the things that he's done, you know, people are going to criticise, people are going to jump on. We're great in this country. If you're someone that comes out and says, and you're confident, you says I win and I do this and I do that, people will always remind you of it. You know what he's got to understand, and people are going to criticise this Tottenham team at the start of the season. Were absolutely fantastic. We were all waxing lyrical about how great they're playing. They set a standard of performance that people want to see. As a support, you go to the stadium, you've set a standard. No one else. These players have set a standard. The manager and this group of players have set a standard of football. And they've fallen well below that at times this season. And if you do that, people are going to complain. People are going to, you know, demand, because they've seen what you can perform. And some people are going to complain. And he, as a manager, he will know that better than anybody else. He's been a player, he's been a manager, and he understands. You set a standard, and if you fall below those standards, people will start to complain, and that's what's happened this season.
But you have to give him the respect, Owen, the way he has stuck to his principles.
Big time. I think it's hard. I think it's really hard, but, you know, before, after the game, you always have to do these interviews, press conferences. You know, it's easy when you're winning, but when you're not winning, I think it's really hard. And at times you can probably say too much. And I think, obviously, the fact he said he always wins in his second year, you know, people aren't going to forget that, are they?
But he was asked a question.
No, and he's right. Do you know what I like about him?
He answered the question honestly and said, it's just a fact. It is what he has achieved.
And I think that's a really good point. They ask him any question and he always answers, which is a credit to him. But I think that can be tricky when you're not winning games and you're 15th and you've lost 17 games in the Premier League. But to hang in there like he has now, to this point, that will mean so much to him and the players. If they can win this trophy, you know, and get into the Champions League, or you know, it just changes everything for him. So
I think the
credit to him.
trophy would do, even without the Champions League for Spurs fans, to be honest with you.
And you're right, you know, obviously they want to be up there, they want to be challenging, and it's, you know, even if they get into the Champions League this way, you know, people ain't going to forget the performances this season that have had them in 15th position in the league. You know, that's just unacceptable for Tottenham. And if you're at Tottenham, I think he as a manager understands that. You know, and like we said, we've spoken about all the different reasons why. But at the end of the day, Tottenham sitting in 15th, as a manager, you're going to get criticised for that.
But does he deserve that time, another season, to be judged fairly, starting off with a fit squad, hopefully, and keeping the majority of them fit for most of the season to see what he can do?
You know, I've been a fan of his throughout most of the season, and I've been one of the people that said, look, what Tottenham are doing at the moment seems like a project. And if it's a project in terms of buying the younger players and bringing in, you need someone to be given time to mature that project and make that project develop. Now, you need to be given time, but then you have to see those players improving. And it's gone the other way for Ange this season in terms of going backwards instead of forwards, and that's why you're getting the complaints. But if he wins this trophy, then yeah, he needs to be given the opportunity to go again next season.
Have we seen, though, that maybe entertaining football clearly isn't always enough to keep the fans happy? It doesn't have to be entertaining.
Can I jump in there? I played in one of the best entertaining teams in this country at one stage, and we didn't win anything. You know, we were great. We entertained people up and down the country. We was everybody's second favourite team, but we didn't win anything.
You weren't my second favourite team.
You know, there was a lot of people's second favourite team, not yours, Linz. I know we was your first, right? But yeah, I'm saying, you know, we people loved the way we entertained, but at the end of the day, we didn't win anything. And you know, you can entertain as much as you want, but as supporters, you want to see people win things.
Thing is, as well, Linz, there's no pictures on the trophy.
Yeah.
Just find a way to get the job done. There's no stats on the trophy. Just find a way to get it done. They found a way to get it done in really difficult circumstances today, and they deserve all the praise for that. It wasn't really maybe the way Ange wants to play, but it was enough, and that's all that counts. Lift the trophy at the end, and everybody's happy.
It was a win, and what a goal, and what a moment to get it for Dominik Solanke, scoring his first penalty that he's taken for Spurs. And you said, Owen, that goal summed up the game, really, the way it came about and the way it was scored.
But also, I just think even the fact that Romero just clips it into an area. You know, it doesn't always have to be the perfect pass or you play between the lines. How often do we see Maddison running in behind? He just sees a little gap. It's not even on, really. He's so brave to even go for that. And that's what leads to the penalty. And that, I just hope he's okay.
I don't like watching it back, to be honest with you. The big surprise is that the referee had to go to the monitor at the recommendation of VAR here, because it was clear, Les, that it was reckless.
Yeah, I mean, when you see Maddison, he takes a little look over his shoulder and sees the goalkeeper coming, and he thinks, if I can get a touch here, I know I'm going to get clattered. And that's what I'm talking about, taking one for the team. That is what you would call taking one for the team. He knows he's going to get clattered, but he gets the touch first, and then bang.
And Postecoglou saying he clearly wanted Dom to take it.
Yeah, and do you know what? Someone who hasn't scored in 8 games, and you know he's had a few injuries, come back, not scored. He took that. I saw a couple of casual penalties yesterday that were missed, but he was very, very casual when he just put that in, straight down the middle. Let the goalkeeper dive first, and great to see him score that penalty.
What does that say about him in that sort of pressurised situation, but also in that stadium as well? You
know, we spoke about people keeping their cool, and that's what he did tonight. He kept his cool at a moment where you could lose your rag a little bit and, you know, get a bit decisive and blast that over the bar. Just kept his cool. You see him take a deep breath before he took the penalty and just settled himself, and great finish.
And they had to see it out, didn't they, Owen? They were maybe hanging on a little bit at the end there. Vicario made a decent save, and Christensen had a couple of chances.
Yeah, I mean, Frankfurt, they're going to come, obviously. You know, they're at home, they put pressure on Vicario. Again, he's a brilliant goalkeeper, you know, and they just look different, they look stable. Look how compact they are. You know, the goals that you see Tottenham concede at times, the gaps are too big. Everybody's back, and everybody's doing their job. Obviously, they're probably fortunate they fell to Christensen, who had probably three good ones, and he never looked like scoring on any of them, to be honest with you. But Tottenham were brave, you know, and they got everybody back, made it difficult.
This was the chance, wasn't it? This was the chance that you think if he wraps his foot round at us in the bottom corner.
But even Poro's back, he's covering, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, everybody's kind of in a position. Solanke from the front, defended amazing, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think Glenn in commentary said that, you know, last week Frankfurt rode their luck at Tottenham at the stadium, and, you know, Tottenham hit the bar and everything. Goalkeeper made some outstanding saves towards the end, and Tottenham had to ride their luck a little bit today and got the rub of the green.
They also had to defend well tonight, Les. And how well do you think Van de Ven and Romero played? Because they were blocking and tackling all night, chasing back.
So this is, for me, this is probably the tackle of the game. When KJ looks like he's in, and you think to yourself, as he takes this touch here, you think, oh no, we didn't want him to give an early goal away. But this tackle from Van de Ven, getting back in there and timing it to perfection as well. So I thought them two tonight were absolutely brilliant. They knew they had a hard task on their hands in who they were up against, but they stuck to their guns, and I thought they were both brilliant.
There's probably not many would have got back.
No, Liz, nobody's getting back.
Yeah.
Not against Ekitike. He did it perfectly. Thought Romero was brilliant. I mean, if they go on to win this trophy, Tottenham fans will remember that tackle forever. Yeah. It was absolutely so vital. And I think when you have a guy like Romero who's won a World Cup, he knows what it takes. You know, and obviously Van de Ven's a young man, but those guys hung in there and they were brave for Ange when they needed them. Goalkeeper made saves. And that's how you win these things. You know, it's not always... Everybody wants to play nice football, but when the other team's pretty good too, you've got to find a way to defend properly. And I just think that's exactly what they did today, and that's why they're going through.
OK, we can get some more reaction from out in Frankfurt now, because Guglielmo Vicario is with Jeff.
Right. Vic, how would you summarise the performance tonight?
Well, unbelievable effort from everyone, from who started, who came off the bench. Is an unbelievable night for us. We suffered a lot, but we're still alive.
What about a defensive display, and how assuring is it for you having Van de Ven and Romero in front of you, and how good were they tonight?
Yeah, of course, they are two very important players for us, but I want to focus tonight on the performance of the team. It's been unbelievable, a really, really big fight. Away from home in Europe is always very, very tough, and but we knew what we were, the atmosphere tonight, and we handled it very well. Sometimes it's about to suffer, and we did all together. This is the most proud thing that we can notice tonight. Is a big night for us, and I think we fully deserve this semi-final.
The penalty was obviously a big incident. How brave was James Maddison putting his head on the line, literally?
Yeah, I think he has been very, very smart. He anticipated the keeper and was an obvious pen, of course. And I'm very happy as well for Dom Solanke. It's a big responsibility to take a penalty on a 0-0 in a way Europe game, but he has this, you know. So I'm very happy for him. He scored. We are through, and now we have to enjoy.
You've been through ups and downs this season. Was that the kind of performance that makes you feel like you can get back on track and do something special this year?
Yeah, we are on track because we are on the semi-final, and we know it's a big achievement. We have to be proud of what we did tonight. They are a very strong side. They sit third in the Bundesliga. It's a big side, so for us it's a big win and can show the mentality we have.
How excited are you to be going into a semi-final with this team, with these players?
Oh yeah, especially this season for us. It has been a very tough one. So this is a big achievement. Of course, it's not done because now we want to progress another step ahead. But like I said, it's a big night. It's a very big night for us. It's a very big night for the boss. It's very big night for the staff, for the fans. So we want to enjoy, and now preparing, ready to go in the semi-final.
You mentioned the boss. He's been under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure. How much would that have meant to him?
Yeah, a lot. I'm very proud for him and all the guys. Tonight, I'm sure also, yeah, we play with this mentality, with this hunger, with this fearless also for him, because he's a big character, he's a big personality, and I think he suffered too much than what he deserved this year. So this win is also for him.
Thank you very much.
Because they've had such a tough season as a group of players, Les, do you think they're almost sort of battle-ready for these big occasions now, for the semi-final and a potential final coming up?
Yeah, I think you'll find there's a bit of a siege mentality because, we talk about the manager being criticised, we've talked about the players being criticised, and there's a little bit of us against the rest of the world now. And that's what they need to keep. And if it gets them to perform like the way they performed tonight, that's what they need to keep going into the semi-finals, because let's get it right, they're in the semi-finals now, and not quite sure who they're going to play yet. But you look at that squad of players, and if they can play and perform to the way that their capabilities are, then they go all the way to the final, and I think they could win this.